How's it, guys? And welcome to probably the most exciting Sunday discussion I've had. A little nerve-wracking as well. Big news coming out. Finally, South Africa has decided on the 1st of October we'll be opening our borders. So that's the big news I wanted to share with you guys. It's been an incredible journey, and I look back to the first day of lockdown and where my actual struggle actually began. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Unfortunately, not on this podcast. I think that's going to be a special discussion to have with you guys and just tell you from where I came from and my side. But I'm so stoked. It's really exciting to see that we're actually moving forward a little bit. Like I said, I just felt that the lockdown really just didn't serve a purpose anymore, and fortunately we done. Okay, guys, so before we get going, just got to give a big shout out to the following sponsors. Big thank you to Trees and Camo. This season has been met with a lot of obstacles, but one thing I've always known is that I'm going into the bush with the best possible camo there is in South Africa, and just got to hand it out to the Trees and team. They've developed some incredible camo, and just so proud to be a part of the team. Next up is Maxxis Tires. I've been using the razors, the mining application. Those of you that have followed me would know this. They're fantastic. They really, really are. Clicking over now to about 55,000 kilometers. So they've really done their fair share of work, and I've still got a couple of more to go. So really just proud of how the Maxxis have performed in our tough conditions. Then next up, Tacticam. This is a new project of mine. I'm so stoked to be a part of the ProStaff team. I think I'm one of few South Africans that are actually on it. As far as action cameras go and really wanting to film my own hunt, they definitely offer, and they tick all the boxes. It's incredible to see when you're out in the bush, just the versatility that they've got, the clarity, and they're really not expensive. So it's awesome. It's great to be a part of. I'm a gadgets guy. I just love gadgets, and they definitely are the best action camera as far as filming your own hunt concerned. So big shout out to Tacticam. Then hopefully I'll be going down, and I'm really wanting to do a podcast with these guys. Splitting Image Taxidermy. Guys, I can't stress enough how important taxidermy is from a PH point of view, as well as a client coming out. You want to know that your money is well spent and well looked after, and Splitting Image has all bases covered. They're fantastic taxidermy. I really can't stress this enough. And the communication levels for me is one of the most important things, and they're next level. There's not a taxidermy that I've dealt with that has handled with so much detail, and the whole team at Splitting Image are just fantastic bunch of people. And big shout out to them. Then, finally, big shout out to PH Toolbox. I'm so stoked to be a part of this whole e-commerce adventure, and with the PH Toolbox team that we've got, it's really been an incredible journey to watch us grow. We've registered our first couple of sales. There's been a little bit of traffic coming into the site, which is really exciting. So guys, if you have, you'll see I've been wearing the merch with my cap. If you really would like to support a PH, it's been a tough season. Head along to a PH Toolbox. We're shipping worldwide. I know that a lot of guys don't really want to wait for their stuff. So if you are in the American market, I'll tag my Redbubble account below, and you can purchase off there some cool t-shirts, hoodies. I haven't got into the cap designing yet on Redbubble, but if you do come out to South Africa, we can definitely organize you a t-shirt or a cap sent to whichever safari company you'll be going to. So if you guys haven't yet, head along to the PH Toolbox page. There's some cool things. We're starting off small. I'm really excited about it because we've sort of got a great base to work from with a whole bunch of our suppliers, and we're just so fortunate that they've jumped on board and had a little bit of faith in us. And yeah, now it's just to push forward and actually start making the side hustle work, Yeah, guys, and then just to end off quickly before we get into it, big shout out to No Sense South Africa. This one's they'll be featuring on our PH Toolbox website, and I've used the No Scent in all my bow hunting hunts I've done this season. The guys have just done a fantastic look. As South Africans, we tend to overlook these sort of things, the smaller things that actually count in the bush. And for me, I really didn't believe that it worked until I actually had it on, and it's incredible. Some amazing technology goes into this, and if you are bow hunting, you need as much help as possible to get as close as possible. So big shout out to No Scent. Just fantastic product. Can't wait to put this into stock, and I can't wait to test it out more for the next season. But you get a whole different variety. You can even wash your clothes with the pods. They've got body wash. They really cover all their bases, and really is a fantastic product. But yeah, guys, this Sunday discussion's about tipping. It's a sensitive topic when you're coming out on safari, but my thought process about this particular episode was, I'm hoping that guys, when they get onto the plane, they download a couple of podcasts, and mine is one of them, but they just listen to some of the advice coming over so that they don't have to ask these hard questions. And trust me, tipping is one of the hardest questions to be asked around camp because not a lot of people know how it's done. But yeah, we'll get into that as we go along. So without further ado, let's get into it. Like I said in the intro, I feel that this episode is a special episode. It requires some sort of celebration. So I've decided that I'm going to be having a beer. And that's just to celebrate the end of lockdown. Borders are open. Things are looking up. It's summer now. We have to move forward from what has been one of the most devastating years we've had from a financial, personal, whichever way you're looking at it. And So guys, firstly, cheers. Thanks to everyone that supported me. Cheers to a really difficult year. And positive vibes moving forward. My condolences to each and every one of you that's lost loved ones through these trying times. And as well, my thoughts and prayers go out to all the South African farmers. What's happening out there is not fair on anyone, no matter what the motivation is behind it. But my heart and soul is with the farmers of South Africa. We need to create awareness, and hopefully my platform gives them a little bit of a go forward to work off of. But guys, really, my thoughts and prayers are with all of you guys and all the loved ones. And good luck and stay strong. Man, that's good. Okay, guys, cool. So tipping. Tipping's sort of become customary over the last couple of years. Not over the last couple of years, for almost forever, since the hunting industry has been involved, and it's almost formed a huge identity as far as professional hunting, tracking, and all that sort of stuff's concerned. So a tip is a tip. That's exactly what it is. It's you don't have to leave a tip behind if you don't feel satisfied or whatever the points are. We'll get into that, but a tip is really just something, and you must understand, as a PH, we that's what we work for, because especially now, I think it's like 16 Rand to $1. The conversion rate is so attractive, especially when you're paying your tips out in dollars, and it helps. It really, really does help. I mean, our basic salary we get on a daily basis from the outfitter is just enough to sort of cover your maintenance on your vehicle, the fuel you got to put in, and sort of odds and ends, dog food, just basic essentials and stuff. You'll be surprised how much we actually spend on a daily basis, although a lot of our stuff is covered, like food and accommodation. But you'll be really surprised on how much maintenance actually goes into the vehicle. You know, just this pre-season, I redid my rails and recovered a couple of my hunting seats, put seat covers on in my pickup, and you know, before I knew it, I was quite deep in the hole. And yeah, so like I said, you know, our basic salary we earn from the outfitters on a daily basis normally goes straight back into our business, if you want to call it. Just on the basic maintenance and stuff. So tipping really has got a special place in the industry, and like I said, it's been customary for some time now. So yeah, and that's just another reason why it's so important. So a lot of things get asked, especially around the camp: who and why do we tip these people? So, for instance, of course, your PH. One of the things I always take from a PH course is that you're there not only to provide a service, but you're there as a host. You're there to make sure that the hunter and his observer, his wife, his child, whoever he may bring along, if he brings anyone along, you're there to offer them the best possible service you possibly can. Not only guiding on the animals, but as well as accommodation, hosting, and all that sort of stuff. Yes, there are outfitters out there that have done exceptionally well in taking that sort of pressure off the professional hunters at this time, but you still have a really, really important part to play. So, of course, your PHs and, of course, your trackers. I sometimes feel that trackers are a little bit undermined in certain instances, but they play an incredible part in this industry, and they're definitely one of the hardest working guys out there. And from my personal experience with my tracker, I mean, there's sometimes, I mean, last season when we did the 24-hour hunt that I speak so highly of, he never slept right up until 9 o'clock the next morning. You know, we've got to make sure that we're skinning animals, putting them into the salt as fresh as possible, because the longer they lie on the back of the pickup or in the cooler room, it's not good for any trophy preparation. So, you know, as far as trackers goes, that's really important. And then lastly, lodge staff. There are other guys that sort of creep into the picture. Your chauffeur from the airport to the lodge. You know, often, and this is a really important topic, often, especially when you're hunting with outfitters and you go to other properties and you use the expertise of the guys at the other property, so they guide you into the most ideal spots for certain species you're looking for. I don't know how it's experienced elsewhere, but yeah, in the Eastern Cape, you know, for instance, some of the main places we hunt don't have certain species like bushbuck. So you would always go down to the coast, and when you get to that, the farmer or the other ranch, you would always take somebody that's from that area along with you. So leaving them a tip behind is extremely important. And yeah, so that's basically the important part of who and why you tip these guys. Another important thing is that I figure out, and again, guys, I'm doing this. There's two reasons why I'm doing this this topic on a Sunday discussion. Is number one, I don't want to prevent the question being asked, but I want to make the understanding a little bit better when a hunter's got to come all the way over to Africa and ask who and what he tips. I just want to sort of give a basis from where they can work from. And then on the other spectrum, as a young professional hunter, on what you can expect and what you need to do to achieve decent tips or to achieve a satisfactory level that your client would want to come back and hunt with you. So everything I'm about to share with you guys is just personal experiences I've had within the industry. You know, I'm a very shy guy, so I get a little bit, I want to say, cold feet when a client comes up to me and asks me, listen, as far as gratitude or tipping, what's the level? And there's certain instances where outfitters are kind and they leave a sliding scale in the room, but more often than not, you've got to answer these sort of questions. So yeah, so how do you scale your tip? So firstly, of course, the most important thing is how satisfying was your safari. Now, our base, when I'm judging myself and when I want to base myself of how well a safari's been going, my first and number one thing is comfort. If my client is comfortable, if his bedside light's not working, I want to make sure it's working. If he doesn't have warm water in the morning, we've got to sort that out. And it all boils down to the smaller things that make a bigger impression. So experiences, is he seeing sunsets, sunrises? Is he seeing the landscape the way we see it? Cultures. Is he experiencing different cultures? The hunting is the main focus, but it's the smaller things around the hunt that actually lead for a better experience. And call me old-fashioned, but that's how I want to be remembered. I want to be remembered by sharing experiences, shooting good quality animals, shooting respectable animals, but as well embracing the culture that's built this magnificent country. And yeah, I'm waffling off a bit here, but that's how you justify a satisfactory safari. Another thing was price tag. Are you coming over here to hunt certain species at higher price tags, or are you coming over here just to have fun with friends and family, shoot some plains game animals, and sit around the bar, sit around the fire, have a couple of beers, and just share stories and just really come over and enjoy, have a holiday experience. So that's number two. How is your PH catering for that? Is he putting in the effort to get you permits? You got to understand that a lot of the animals, for instance, let's talk about the Oribi. The Oribi takes about, especially down in the Eastern Cape, I'm not familiar with up north, but I know here in the Eastern Cape, it can take up to 3 years to organize a permit, and your PHs are constantly on that, your outfitters are constantly on that. They're working their butts off to try and get you a permit, to try and find you a permit that's available. And of course, the Oribi being an Oribi, it's quite a pricey animal for what you get. So take all those things into consideration. Is the work effort being put in? I can remember a couple of years ago, just off the spur of the moment, we needed a blue darker. It was never planned, but we worked our butts off just to try and get a permit released, trying to find one. And yeah, it's, that's all part of the job. So price tag is very important. So are you paying for what you get? And is the effort being put in? Thirdly, number of days. Typical safari number. Earlier time of year, I think it's about 5 days is the average, and then it goes into 7 and 10 days. Keep that in mind. A lot of guys staying longer than 10 days. We sort of add on. When I say add on, it's not the right word, but we sort of compensate for the days spent away. And you got to, look at your sliding scale. Everything will be done on a sliding scale, and you using your own discretion. And just remember, anything longer than 10 days is a lot of pressure on certain people and family members, and the list goes on. But I know it's more common up north that your days are longer. You get longer days, so you're there for a longer amount of time. Whereas down in the South Africa, I know your average hunt's between 7 and 10 days. So just keep that in mind. It's not a big deal, but just keep it in mind. Then probably one of the most important points is what type of hunt is it? Is it a plains game? Is it a dangerous game hunt? Obviously, dangerous game takes a lot of preparation, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, like you would do on a blue darker, maybe leopard or lion. You're baiting, you setting up trail cameras, so on and so forth. And that's just, it's a typical. We'll get into what sort of budget range you can justify between the two of them, but keep that in mind. Dangerous game or plains game hunt. Then for me, also another very important point is your hunter bringing an observer? And by that I mean his wife, his kid, or somebody that's not going to hunt, that's just going to tag along. You need to make sure that you incorporate the experience with him or her in it. If they're just sitting in the pickup all day, or if they were walking kilometers after kilometers and not getting the full experience, just bear in mind that, they also need to enjoy their time as much as the hunter. And a lot of PHs miss that. And, when we like I said many other podcasts, is preparation is everything. Finding out a couple of days before the time, is your hunter bringing out an observer? Isn't he? Will allow you to give you a little bit of time to plan ahead. We need a certain species down there. What are we going to do with an observer? Well, let's one day let's go to the Addo Elephant Park, or let's go and go fishing. But you need to keep that in mind, and preparation is everything. So, one of my favorite things I really enjoy doing is, number one, going down to Addo. Or number two, actually going into our local schools and donating a few books, a couple of pencils, just basic essential things that they really take for granted, So, keep that in mind. Make sure, guys, you need to know 2 or 3 days before your hunt. You can't wait on the day you arrive at the lodge if your client's bringing an observer or not, because you're going to be caught off guard. And like I said, make sure that they're enjoying the experience as much as the hunter. And then the big one, last but not least, definitely a huge one for me, is the success of a hunt. Now, many people will have different opinions on what a successful hunt actually entails. I can't really talk for the hunting side. I'll give my opinion, but from a professional hunting point of view, is you need to make sure you tick a lot of the boxes. And Did your client have, did he see a lot of animals? Was he getting enough opportunity to see the species that he was after? Was he getting involved in the community, in the experiences? Were you teaching anything new about South Africa, different types of hunting, walk-in, stalk, out of a blind, whatever the case may be? You need to start ticking boxes as you go along. Did he have enough opportunity on the sticks, on a certain species? Whether you missed them or not, doesn't really matter. But from a professional hunting point of view, you need to make sure that most of those boxes are all ticked off. From a hunting perspective, I always say once you come over to South Africa, you're always going to come back. And a lot of people get worked up, and a lot of people get irritated with missed opportunities. And I learned a very valuable lesson a couple of years ago. I was hunting with a good friend. He's been out with me a couple of times, and from a professional hunting side, I left that hunt learning more than I've ever had learned in my life of hunting. And it wasn't, as far as shooting the animals and killing the animals concerned, it wasn't near the success I was planning to have. And I look back at it now, and I just think that hunt identified me as the professional hunter I'm going forward today, because then I did things that I probably, looking back now, I probably could have changed. But experiencing those moments, I mean, when we hunted the hippo on the Fish River, we hunted 7 days, or I think it was 5 days. 5 days, waking up every single morning at 3 o'clock, getting down to the river early, only to pull off a shot on the very last day. And a rookie error, I didn't wait for the hippo to turn. I told him to pull the shot off when it wasn't facing us. And those things I learned. I learned valuable lessons. And it's almost, it keeps playing in the back of my mind. I wish I could change it, but I wish I didn't change it, because where I am now, I'm a lot more grateful for the lessons I've learned back then. So, yeah, PH's successful hunt is making sure there's abundance of opportunity. You see in the species the clients are after. You're sharing experience and culture with them, and you're making sure that their stay is as comfortable and as satisfying as possible. That's a successful hunt, in my personal opinion. From a hunting point of view, guys, you're always going to come back. Don't get disheartened and miss opportunities. Just embrace what we have to offer you, and when the opportunities do present yourself, don't rush them. Don't get worked up. Just relax, and everything will fall into place. Then, so we're moving on now to the typical, how can I say, currency side of things as far as tipping goes. Here's the real misdemeanor, the sensitive part of tipping. Yes, I haven't had a beer in a long time. Okay. So as far as percentages goes, the reason why I like to work in percentages is because often you come out on a 10-day safari and you want to shoot 7 animals, and your package is kind of done at around about day 6. And you've seen a couple of species that you really enjoy and you really think would fit in well in your house, or that you would just like to add on, and you go and you shoot these animals, and as well. That's why I like to work with a total percentage of the end bill, because as far as a hunter's concerned, you can always use your package amount as your guideline, but always budget for a little bit more. again, guys, I'm probably sounding like this. I hope it doesn't come across this way, but I'm probably sounding like this arrogant PH that expects everyone to tip and bloody bloody blah. It's really not me. I'm just doing this because it's a difficult topic. I personally don't enjoy getting asked what clients need to tip myself or my tracker, but never mind about what tips go around the lodge and stuff. So I'm just trying to do this just to get a little bit of just a little bit of clarity out there, and just to help guys coming over, whether it be your first time or just and as well as young PHs coming in. I just want you guys to learn that these are the processes going through, and hopefully, if you ever get asked the question, just say to them, "Well, go listen to PH Toolbox or PH Journals on Spotify." But so again, this isn't an easy topic for me to discuss. I don't like doing it because I know it's not a given. Tips are left out of generosity. You don't have to leave a tip. It's not part of the, you don't, no one's going to hold a gun to your head and say, well, listen, you need to tip. So so the percentages side of things for me, I've seen a lot of different ones, and like I keep mentioning a little bit earlier was the sliding scale. But for myself, I personally really think that anything above 10% on the final bill for your professional hunter is a very, very generous tip. It's if you want to put it in that category, you can say it's a gold medal or golden tip. So for me, anything from 10% above is you've really enjoyed your stay, you've shot some good quality animals, have had some really good opportunities to shoot some magnificent animals. Your experience has been textbook and you've learned a lot. If you've learned something coming out here, then anything above 10% is a really generous tip. And then scaling down is probably between 5 and 8% if you've just had an enjoyable time and you're satisfied, you've shot a couple of animals and you're going back, you're going to talk about it for a couple of years, and it's just mediocre. And then anything from 5% under is just thank you for everything you guys do and the effort you put in. I'll be back, but I've had an okay time type thing. And then like I said, sliding scales, I've seen some sliding scales use between $80 to $150. But I enjoy the percentage side of things more. And I think that's how a lot of PHs sort of work out their tip or plan their tip going forward in their heads. But I would advise, when it comes to percentages, I would advise asking the landowner or the ranch owner or the outfitter owner, because they might have their different take on the whole thing. This is just what I've experienced down here in the little old Eastern Cape. Trackers, I like to work on trackers probably between $20 and $30 a day. The reason for that is I think they work really, really hard. Their trophy preparations, you must remember, our work doesn't stop once you leave. We've got to prepare our trophies, make sure that they're ready for splitting image to come up and pick them up and take them back, and make sure that there's no meat on there, they're salted correctly. The skins are all, the skulls are all boiled out. There's no meat on them for anything to rot or, so $20 to $30 is more than reasonable tip for your trackers. And like I said, keep in mind anything longer than 10 days, you might need to add on another $2 per day afterwards. but yeah, I mean, that you can use to your own discretion. So, trackers play an extremely important role as far as professional hunting is concerned and your trip to South Africa. So look after them and they'll look after you. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. It's just the nature of the beast. We certain trackers now, well, especially my tracker, he's instructed to treat everyone the way he would, the way a top client would come out and be treated, and you'll reap the rewards. And we've always just had a really successful time. We've learned a lot from one another, and I appreciate his effort more than anything, and yeah, like I say, we especially now during COVID, I've been there for him. We've tried to look after each other. I've given him a couple of food parcels just to make sure that the guy doesn't stay disheartened. I mean, Courtman's an amazing guy and really good heart on him, and he's squandered some really good opportunities, but I think he's sort of learned his lesson now. But enough about that. But I'll tell you a little. Hopefully, I'll get him on the podcast one day. But trackers, they play a really important part in your South African hunt. Look after them, and they'll return the favor. Big game. Depending on the species, how many species of the big game you're going to be hunting, I would scale it between 25 and 30%, 15 to 25% of the total budget. Anything more than 2 species in the big 5. The reason why I say that is because a lot of guys come over and they just want to shoot a buffalo. A buffalo does take a lot of effort, but you can always, bump up your 10% to about 12% if you get a successful hunt and if you enjoy it. Other than that, your leopard, lion, elephant, you're going into the really big effort, planning and structure and baiting and early mornings, blind preparations, all of that sort of stuff. So, the extra bit of money really goes a long way just to show your gratitude towards all the effort that gets put in. So, I'm not saying that most of the other work that gets done behind the scenes is any less than what a leopard or lion hunt preparation goes. I'm just saying, as far as leopard and lion go, in any of the dangerous 5, it's just that it's dangerous. It's extremely fun, but it's you're putting your life on the line, and I think that's a really good percentage scale to work between 15 and 25%. And then as well with your tracker, you can add on an extra $5 per day just for that, because skin preparation, like I said, blinds, all that's take a little bit more extra effort from their side. So that's one of the big things. Then lodging. So just to clarify something quickly, when I say lodging, I mean the people that are around chalets, looking after your laundry, cooking for you, serving you at dinner tables and stuff. I don't mean the guys cutting the grass outside your chalet or any of that sort of stuff. I'm really just talking about the people that are looking after your... Is it personal? No, it wouldn't be personal, but really looking after you on your safari, washing your clothes, making sure there's food for you to eat, serving you at the bar, wherever it may be. I would work on between $5 to $10 per day, and I would pull that. So that will be the total for the whole lodge, between $5 and $10. It's just my personal opinion. I know this one is going to be... There's going to be so many variations of this one, and I would highly recommend you to use this as a base rather, instead of actually using it how you want to tip. Chat to your landowner about this one. Not landowner. Chat to your outfitter or whoever you're hunting with. Your PH will even be able to answer this one. So, yeah, $5 to $10. Use that as your base. It does differ, but you can use that to your own discretion. Yes, I came prepared for this one. I've written an essay here. Okay, guys, and then the hunting industry is a difficult one because, sorry, there's always chance takers. There's always guys that, once they've got you as a client, they always want to take a little bit more. And unfortunately, it leaves a very bad taste for the industry in South Africa. So I'm hoping, again, this episode is purely just to help make people aware of what's actually happening out there. And one of the big things, that's come up, especially as far as tips are concerned, is people taking chances. And you'll be surprised. A lot of landowners or ranch owners, safari owners, actually take these chances. And the first one is tip pooling. Now, I mentioned it earlier in the lodge staff about pooling your tips together because you're paying the whole lodge. When people ask you to tip pool your PH's tip, your tracker's tip, the lodging tip, the chauffeur, or whatever the case may be, and say, okay, now just put everything together, we'll equally distribute it. There should already be alarm bells going off in your head here. And I'll tell you why. And I was going to mention this a little bit later on in my list. But you handing your tip to your professional hunter, to your tracker, to the secretary or the person that's managing the lodge, it's a lot more personal than you pooling it together with a couple of your mates, giving it to the lodge owner or to the outfitter, saying, yeah, you distribute it equally. It's a difficult one because I've seen it more often than not that the desired tip, for instance, if you wanted to leave 10 or 15% of the bill at the end of the day for your professional hunter, he doesn't normally see that, especially in pool tipping. So be wary of that. If anyone asks you to do that, just, I would highly advise you just to rather say, no, I would like to personally give this to my PH, my tracker, whoever it may be. Number one, from our side, it's a big sign of respect doing that. Number two, it eradicates that little evilness that goes on with who's going to get what cut at the end of the day. So avoid that. If you see it anywhere, rather just call your outfitter aside and say, listen, this is how I'm going to be doing things. That's what I would suggest. Look, if you've got other opinions or you've read differently, then by all means do it the way you feel comfortable, but that's how I would suggest you guys going forward. And then another thing I've seen, and it's become very, very common, I saw it when we were in SEI, I saw it on one of the pamphlets, a whole list of staff members that need to get tipped. It's a weird, how can I say, it's a weird thing that's becoming expected that everyone's meant to get a tip now when, it sort of takes that personal factor away from the client actually wanting to give his hard-earned money to somebody that's worked just as hard for him. So, yeah, I found that very strange. I'm trying to think which brochure I saw it on. It was definitely a South African company, and they listed a whole bunch of people who need to be tipped at the end of the safari, and I thought this was strange. So be wary of that. I'm not 100% sure about the thought process behind it, but for me, it just doesn't seem right. You're not obligated to tip the whole list of people that really. I mean, there were. I think he separated the trackers and the skinners. you see, where we work, it might be different elsewhere, but where we are, I mean, our trackers are the skinners as well. And yeah, he had cook staff, and then he had laundry staff. And where we are, it's together. You know, when people aren't cooking, when they aren't serving, tables or whatever, they're cleaning your laundry. It might be different. I might be reading this completely wrong, but for me, it just sounded very, very weird. Yeah. So keep an eye out on that one. Be wary. Don't. It's your money at the end of the day. Don't just go around throwing it around because people say so. Rather, do a little bit of research and check it out. And then my worst one I've seen, and it's crept into our industry horrendously. And I'm quite embarrassed about it, actually, especially on Best of Times, because you see really good PHs doing this sort of thing. And I don't know if there's a word for them, but I call them tip pushers. They're pushing people to leave a certain amount of tip, or to leave a certain thing as a tip. It's just something that doesn't appeal to me. I don't like it. I've never been brought up that way. I've never known anyone in the industry to be like that until recently. There's been a couple of youngsters coming through, even some of the older guys doing this now. And I understand times are tough. And when you see a nice pair of binos, you sort of would like them to leave them behind, whether it be a mistake or on purpose. No, I'm joking. But so just be very, very, very wary of those guys. I don't enjoy it. I really don't like guys pushing for certain tips, asking for diesel. There's a whole list of things that actually go on. So be careful of that. You're not obligated to do any of that sort of stuff. You don't need to fill anyone's truck. You don't need to leave binoculars behind you. You don't need to buy lunch. You don't need to do any of those sort of things. So yeah, it's like I said, for the youngsters that are coming in, don't do this sort of thing, guys. Focus on your job, and I promise you good things will come to you. And you might have to wait a couple of years, but just keep knocking away. Just keep doing what you want to do and keep doing what you love. And I promise you good things will always come. And as a hunter, please, guys, just be wary of that sort of thing. Then getting into the next topic of that one, equipment, clothing, candy, some goodies coming over and stuff. It's always appreciated. And like I say, we wanted to teach you guys our culture and how we do things. We want you to drink a little bit of mhlonyane or mqombothi or something like that, and you coming over and leaving a pair of boots behind for a tracker or something like that is extremely appreciated. You don't have to do it, but I know a lot of guys like to do that because we don't get the quality of gear other than treason that you guys get over there. So it's always nice, to be left something. It always reminds you of the great hunt, and there's always a story behind it. You leaving with an African animal, and when you hang it up on your wall, there's a story behind it. I'm looking through a pair of binoculars that I shared with a very special client of mine, or he's not even a client. I would call him a really good friend, and probably closer to a family member. And I look through these binoculars and I reminisce on the magnificent experiences we've had together. So yeah, guys, that sort of stuff's always appreciated. It's really, you don't have to do it, and no one's asking you to do it. It's an extremely special gesture, leaving behind a knife for your tracker, or bringing him over a pair of boots or a set of camos or whatever it may be. It's a really, really special gesture, and I'm talking from personal experiences now, so I can't speak for everyone, but yeah. And then, guys, getting towards the end of this big fat elephant in the room, And I haven't even quite finished my first beer yet. But is currency. What do you tip your currency? Now, guys, remember, this topic came up. I've been asked now 4 times in the last 2 weeks about tipping. A lot of guys are planning to come over next year, of course, and they want to know about tipping. And funny enough, I can't remember, I picked it up in a magazine or something, and I saw the topic tipping as well. So I thought, well, this is a really good opportunity to start the 2021 season off where people know their base model. So currency, guys, I would tip in your local currency. Make sure you bring over an extra bit of cash so you can do that sort of thing. It goes a long way. Like I say, the exchange rate is in your guys' favor 100%. And when we get tipped in that foreign currency, we always benefit. And we benefit a lot more than often, So a lot of us like to hold on to the dollars, and when we go over there, or dollars or euros, whatever it may be, and when we go overseas, we just use them when we're that side, or we hold on to them and wait for a politician to do something silly and bump the price up a bit and then go and change them at the bank. I'm laughing, but it's true. Some of us really do that. So, yeah. And it's just, like I say, it's that personal. There's something about handing over hard-earned cash to somebody that's worked just as hard for you. And like I say, it's a personal thing. It really is. It's a magnificent thing, receiving that and being appreciative and really getting the opportunity to look somebody in the eye and say, thank you. I really, I've earned this, but thank you so much. And then, guys, when to tip. Tip at the end of the safari. I've seen too many safaris go pear-shaped when people tip half at the beginning and half at the end. You got to understand, I'm not going to say too much about it, but we live in an era where, some guys take those sort of things for granted, and, if they receive something at the beginning that they're not satisfied with, they're only going to work to that sort of level. It's a terrible mindset to have, but it does happen, and it's we're dealing with society here, and a lot of people think that way. I wish I could change it, but I can't. But just keep that in mind. Always tip at the end of the safari. That's what I would do. You're not obligated to buy diesel. You're not obligated to buy lunch. You're not obligated to do any of that sort of stuff. So always just make sure that you tip at the end of the safari. If you want to do the rest, if you want to purchase a tank of diesel for your PH, it's happened to me, and I really appreciate it. It's a wonderful gesture again. But you just remember, tips are something that are earned, and they're not. You don't have to pay them. And strongly believe in earning your tip and earning your right to have a good quality tip handed to you. So as a young PH, just remember that, guys. Just keep doing your basics. Just keep knocking away and just keep doing what you want to do, and the good stuff will follow. I promise you it does. You don't have to force it. Just be patient, and the good stuff does follow. But guys, that's it for a very difficult topic. Trust me, I hope this helps. I really do, because it hasn't been easy for me. Like I said earlier, I don't like doing this sort of stuff, and I don't like having this sort of conversation, but it does happen more often than not. And I just wanted to get it out there. I want to help people coming over for the first time. I want to help people that are unsure about how things work. And that's it, guys. Well, just before we end off, I just want to say a very big thank you to everyone that supported me. If you haven't yet, head along. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Instagram. I'm even on TikTok now. I'm just trying to create awareness about why hunting is the best conservation tool, and why we need to look after what we've got, and some cool plans going forward. I've had some amazing support in the last couple of weeks, and I'm forever grateful. So myself, Dylan Love, the PH Journals team, and the PH Toolbox team, thank you so much for all your support. I really appreciate it. Stay safe, stay humble, happy hunting, and we'll catch up with you guys soon. Cheers.